Hey friends, it's your boy BigTCGFan coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be doing a deck list video. And the deck I'm going to be sharing with you guys is a really cool one of my favorite decks that I own, and that is my Reki, The History of Kamigawa. This commander, what he does is 1 green, 2 colorless. He's a 1/1 or 1/2, but what his ability is whenever you cast a legendary spell, draw a card. It's a mono green deck where you overwhelm your opponent with numbers and cards, and you do that through a massive pile of legendary spells. So we're going to go through it all here, and then I'll show you guys all the cool stuff in this deck. It's a fun deck to play. What I did, I went on Etsy and I bought these specialized Japanese styled snow-covered forests. I just thought, you know, because I had this really cool Reki, that these lands would be really awesome. So you can see I have a huge lot of these. And it's kind of cool because now with the new Kamigawa coming out, they're coming out with new forests that are Japanese stylized. I might go with those instead. You got a foil Reliquary tower. This is important because with Reki, your hand can get really full really fast. And you'll see why. I got a proxy of a Gaz Cradle. Just too expensive to get one. I'll probably get one soon. This is the command collection green command tower. I just put it in there because I just use green. You don't really need it. I could have put a forest in there, but I just liked it. I got Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth, so that's what all the other non-forest lands become forests. Temple of False God. And then I have the flip cards. So basically, early game, I could flip this one, which is return target card from your graveyard to your hand, or the Colony Ambush. But early game, I can use them as a land if I need to, but later game, then I got useful spells and not a land in there. And lastly, I have this card right here, Adventurer's Guildhouse from the Legends set. All your green legends gain bands with other legends. This card, because almost all of the creatures in this deck are green legendary creatures. And banding is such a significant ability to have. People don't understand, but it's still fun because I can, like, the way it works is when you band, the damage is dealt. Normally when you attack someone, the damage is dealt. The attacker gets to decide how the damage is dealt. With banding, then you decide how the damage is dealt. So you could sprinkle it through all your creatures to keep them all alive while pounding the hell out of his army. Alright, so next I got a Sylvan Anthem. Green creatures all get 1/1. But the reason I like this is because whenever a green creature enters the battlefield, I get a Scrya card. Now with Reki's ability, I choose the triggers. So what I'll do is I'll cast a creature that's legendary, and obviously I will scry the card first. And, you know, obviously I'll put them in order of draw, then scry, so that way you scry first. And then you scry, look at the card. Oh, I don't want this. It's late game, mid-late game. I don't need a land. Tuck it to the bottom, draw the next card, and hope it's something better. You know, it usually is. All right, next we have Mana Reflection. One of the big problems you're going to deal with, even with a mono green deck, is you're going to be dealing with a lot of cards in your hands and not enough mana. Mana Reflection helps fix that quickly. Next, I have Worldly Tutor. Some legendary creatures are better than others, so it's good to be able to choose the ones that you want. Especially with his trigger, I can, like, on the stack of his trigger, I can respond with a Worldly Tutor, tutor up the creature I want, put it on top of my library, boom, draw it. Time and Need, yeah, is just a tutor. I mean, tutoring up anything in a deck, especially when the deck is focused around that thing, is an awesome thing. So you want to have tutors, and you'll see soon a massive majority of the creatures in this deck are legendary, so this card is extremely useful. Asceticism, I don't need people picking off my awesome legendary creatures, and you'll see that we're going to be playing some legendary creatures that people will want dead. Asceticism will keep them alive. Next is Heroic Intervention. This is another card that I use to keep creatures alive, because if someone does a board wipe, I can respond with this. Boom. Nope, you're not killing my stuff. An amazing card. Pretty much every green deck, especially mono green decks, should run Heroic Intervention. Next you have Regrowth. The ability to just pay 1 green, 1 colorless and get anything back in your hand is just too amazing to not have. Okay, and then we have A Long Rest. This one right here is just an awesome card because you can get a whole bunch of things back into your hand. And then on top of it, you can, if you get 8 or more things, you can put your life back to what it was. So and here's another, you can see got a little reanimation going on here. Take all the stuff, put it back in your hand, no maximum hand size. Just an amazing ability. Next, you have Bramble Crush. You need to be able to remove things sometimes. And this card can pretty much remove everything but creatures. So, and usually when you're doing this deck, when you have all these creatures out, you'll be smashing people's faces. They won't have creatures. Next is Croson Grip. Just the ability to remove things when you need to is just too amazing. And then you have Beast Within. So, and this one's nice because you can remove creatures if you need to. This is one of my winning cards that I use to win the game. Because obviously at some point you have to win the game. I attack you, I trample over, you die. 3 visits. Mana ramp is really important. So I have a series of mana ramp cards here. And these are where you'll see the creatures that are not legendary. I have a few in there. So I got 3 visits. This card's just too awesome. Nature's Lore. Sylvan Scrying. As you can see, I try to keep their mana cost 2 or less. This one's great because I usually get it to get Gaia's Cradle if I can, or Adventurous Guildhouse. Sakura's Tribuilder, one of the few non-legendary creatures. It's just an awesome card. All right. Then you got Funhorn Elves, Elvish Mystic, and Llanowar Elves. All 3 of these guys are just like super cheap mana dorks. Great early game cards. You put them down. Oh, mana galore. I mean, especially in this deck. Soul Ring. Once again, you can see I got the Green Commander Collection green one for this. I just thought it was really nice and I liked it. Mox Amber. So this one's great because we have a lot of legendary creatures in this deck, plus your commander. So I pay nothing, I draw a card, and I have 1 green mana for free, basically. An amazing card. Thought Vessel. Once again with a hand size. You're trying to make sure that you don't have to discard a bunch of cards at the end of your turn. An amazing card, the Great Henge. There are some really big legendary green creatures, and so this card right here's cost will go way down, and just all that it does, I tap for mana, I gain life. Non-token creatures, which are all the creatures in this deck, I get a counter and I draw a card. So this is more draw engine, more mana engine. The Great Henge, and this is obviously a proxy, is just an amazing card. Every mono green deck should consider running this card. Now we're getting into the other, and also on top of the Great Henge, you get to draw a card because it's legendary. And then here we go, we got the Instrument of the Bards. Like I said earlier, tutoring is really important. This card allows you to do some tutoring. Plus, it's a legendary spell, so I get to draw a card when I cast it. So even if you have this in your opening hand, you would not cast it until after. And you probably would wait a little bit because it costs 4 to use. So you'd wait till you build up your mana pool before you would use this. So I would probably just let it sit in my hand for a while before I play it. Remember, with Reki out, you're drawing a card. All right, then you have Growing Rights of the Italok. This card right here is great because, first off, when you put it into play, you get a look at the top 4 cards, pick a creature card, put it in your hand. Then, at your end step, if you have 4 more, you flip it over, and as you know, this is basically, on the other side is a Gaia's Cradle. So this right here will really help your mana. All right, next you have Bow of Nylia. This is just one of those cards. First off, it's legendary, which means I'm drawing a card. And then what makes it great is all the little abilities. I can pay 1 green, 1 colorless to put a 1/1 counter on a creature. I can have it deal 2 damage to the target creature with flying, or I can gain 3 life, or I can put up to 4 target cards from your graveyard onto the bottom of your library in any order. So it's a great, this card just does so much. So it's a great card to have. All right, now, as you know, Planeswalkers are legendary spells. So I have 10 different Planeswalkers in here. There's a couple of them that I would skim out for different Planeswalkers that I don't own, although I do own most Planeswalkers. But there are a few, I think of one of them is a Garuk and one of them is a Vivian Reed that I would really like to swap out, but that's neither here nor there. We just roll with what we got right now. Karn Liberated is an amazing Planeswalker. No matter what happens, this card will stay in the deck. It is just too awesome. I pay 7, I draw a card, then I get to exile a permanent. Paying 7 mana in this deck, especially mid to late game, is not a big deal at all. You won't even notice it. Garuk Primal Hunter. This one's here merely for the -3 of, actually this one does make the tokens. I think this is the only token generator in the whole deck. The fact that you draw a bunch of cards. So like even if Reki's dead, you got this guy to try to draw you cards. So it's nice. All right, next you have Vivian, Champion of the Wilds. I love this one because she lets all of my stuff have flash. Really, that's the only reason. Her other abilities are like, whatever, okay. But just the flash. Plus, I would use her to draw cards. I think Vivian Reed is the one I would swap her out with, because Vivian Reed's pretty awesome. Next is Nissa, who shakes the world. This card, right, remember how I said about mana? She's basically a mana generator. See that? I can tap the forest. I get an extra green out of it. Her other abilities are okay, because you can, like, puke all the lands out of your deck. So then after that, you're just drawing sauce. Next, you got Fraley's. Oh, there's another token generator. I'm all sorts of wrong about token generators, because she makes 1/1 mana dorks. Also, you can use her to destroy artifacts or enchantments, but then her -6 to draw a card for each creature you control. So she's an amazing card. I love her very much. And this, you can see, I got the collection, Commander Collection green one. Next is Ugin, the Spirit Dragon. This is another amazing, colorless, expensive one, but I like it merely for its ability to do damage to targets, and then its -10 ability. You gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, and put up 7 permanent cards for your hand in the battlefield. Generally, the only thing I would put out, if I have draw the 7 cards and I get a bunch of lands, I would dump the lands into play. I would not, maybe if you got like the mana dork guys, but I would not put any of your legendary spells directly into play, because you do not get the draw trigger, and the draw trigger is very important, so you would ignore that part for the first. Oh, there's Vivian Reed. So there was another legend. I have a list of what creatures I want to swap out. I just love Vivian Reed. She's an amazing, amazing card. Her -8, you get an emblem. Creatures get +2/+2, have Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible. In this deck, that's pretty much game over. You know what I mean? Once you put it out. Plus that, she can destroy artifact, enchantments, and creatures with flying. And flying creatures are the one weakness in this deck. I think I have one. But she's an amazing Planeswalker, so we love her. Next, we have Garuk Unleashed. And this one right here, I just liked this one. This is probably one of the ones I would trade out for one of the. I don't remember which Garuk I'm missing, but it's okay. I just like the +2+ or top ability, and it makes a bear token that will fight stuff. Oh no, it's if your opponent controls more creatures, put a loyalty counter on them. Man, whatever. I just like his +1, where I can just give trample, because you'll see later I have Omnuth in here, and Omnuth gets really big with this deck, and so like he's great, because then I can give Omnuth trample and just smash someone's face. Next you have Ellie, Wick, Tumblestrom. I literally only just use her -2 to dig for more spells, because you got to remember, when you cast these legendary creatures, you get to draw a card with Reki in play. So I use her -2 twice and just nuke her. She's one of the ones that I might swap out if there's a better Planeswalker out there. Next, you have the OG Garuk Wildspeaker. This guy's just too stupid when a Gaia's Cradle's in play, because the +1 is get to untap 2 target lands, and another token generator. Boy, I was so wrong about the token generators. But anyways, I don't really use them that much. I mean, other than the elf one, and I think the one with the other Garuk, because he gives 3/3 for +1, but that's just to build it up. But anyways, you'll get a lot of mana with Garuk Wildspeaker. Plus, you draw, remember, like I said, every time. When Reki's out, very few people waste a kill spell on Reki. And even if they do, he's so cheap, you're just recasting him. I've never had a situation where I couldn't keep Reki out. And if Reki stays out, I'm drawing cards. Period. Just like, as you can see how many spells I got. I got 10 Planeswalkers. Now we're getting into the creatures. And this is where the good stuff is. This guy right here, because there are a lot of legendary humans. So he's cool because if someone does do a board wop, I can bounce Reki, who is a human, back into my hand, and then this guy stays out in play. He's a 7/6 indestructible guy. Plus, when he attacks, I get to blow up an artifact or enchantment. So he's great. And when he enters the battlefield, he'll fight another creature. So he does so much for a mere 6 mana. He's a 7/6 for 6 mana. Plus, on top of it, if Reki is out, I draw a card. Questing Beast. This one I put in here merely because it's 4 mana for a 4/4 with Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste. He can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Combat damage that would be dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented. And when he deals damage to an opponent, deals that much damage to a Planeswalker they control. This card is stupid. And I get to draw a card when he comes into play. Basically, this card will probably never leave this deck. Next, you have Yiva, Nature's Herald. I have her in here merely because she gives flash to all my other creatures, and she's legendary, which means I draw a card when I cast her. So she's a great one. I'll use her on the end of an opponent's turn. I'll flash her into play. Boom, draw my card. Everyone's not happy except me. Next, you have Jarrell, the Muwali Recluse. I like her because of her ability to make my creatures really big. And plus, that every time I draw my second card, I get another creature token. Boy, I was really wrong about the creature tokens, wasn't I? It's been a long time. But she's great, because with Reki, I'm drawing 2 cards a turn, and I'm getting a bunch of 2/2 cats. So, and I draw a card in there. Here's one of my ways of dealing with flying creatures. This is Arashi, the Sky Ascender. He is a hurricane, a targeted hurricane on a stick. So I can X green, blow up your flying creature. I'm happy, you're not. Plus, I got to draw a card from his casting. Next, we have Yisan, the Wandering Bard. He's in here merely because I can use him to tutor up stuff. Tutoring up things is awesome in this deck. I can find specific creatures I want or need, and you'll see there are quite a few in here that you're going to like be like, oh, do I want to get that or do I want to get that? Next, you have Jadet Ojain of Ofrava. He is a legendary forest walker who makes kitties when he attacks or blocks. So he's cool, but, you know, he's one of those ones that might get replaced in the future if something better comes along. Next, you have Omnuth, Locus of Mana. This guy is pretty stupid because I can just, at the end of every turn, I just dump all my excess mana right into him, and he gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you've seen the myriad of ways that I have to give a trample to stuff, and you haven't even seen them all, so I can really make him very big. Next, here's one of the ones that I would tutor up for. This card right here is one of the guys, when I put him into play, people want to kill him. The only good news is if they do kill him, I still got to draw a card. But he doubles my mana and he nukes your opponent's lands by making them stay tapped for a turn. He is an amazing card, as you know, and usually when I put him into play, you get groans and grunts, especially because I'll have asceticism out a lot of the time, which means it's not easy to kill him. Next, you have the God Eternal Ronis. I love this guy merely because when he enters the battlefield, I double the power of each other creature you control till end of turn. Can you imagine having a massive Omnuth out? I double it, and it gets Vigilance. Plus, if he dies, he goes in from the battlefield. I put it on top of my library, third from the top. Remember, I'm also drawing a card, plus he's a 5/5 Death Toucher, so he's a nice card. Next, you have Polkranos World Eater. This is one of those ones I like in the sense that he's great for, he's cheap, he's big, and then if I can monster size him and kill a creature. And I draw a card when he comes out. He's one of the ones that may or may not stand. Now, this guy right here is probably, I don't know if you remember, but there were 10 Planeswalkers in this deck. With this guy in play, I double all the tokens that come on the Planeswalkers every time I use them. So what ends up happening is I end up ultimating on the turn they come out when he's in play. For almost all, I think all of them. It's an amazing, amazing card. Plus, remember, I drew a card when I cast it. Then we have Glindra, the Caller of Wirewood. She's just a mana dork, but remember, I draw a card with her. So I pay 3 mana, I get a mana dork who draws me a card. I wanted to keep cards, so I have this set up specifically, so I have spells on low all the way through the whole mana level. So 1 cost, 2 cost, 3 cost, etc. Because I didn't want to make it too much on the heavy end with the creatures. So she's on that end to help lighten the load a little bit. If something better comes along, I'll definitely replace her, but she's nice because for 3 mana, I'm drawing a card and I get a mana dork. And this guy right here, he's part of my recursion plan. I especially love him because it puts him on top of your library where I can then draw it and then cast it to draw another card. He is very handy and he probably will never be going anywhere. Next we have Ronas the Indomitable, Death Tuth Indestructible, and then he can't attack or block unless you have the power of creature 4. Plus, he can give trample, so he's part of my way for Omnuth to give trample. When Omnuth is in play, usually this guy is being able to be a 5/5 Death Touch, indestructible death stick I'm swinging at an opponent every turn. Next, you have Jugan, the Rising Star, my singular flying creature in the deck, and he's only in here because he flies. He's the only, I think he's the only flying legendary creature. There's a couple with reach, but they're either too expensive or I didn't like what else they did. And this guy, it's 6 mana, I get a 5/5 flyer, I draw a card, and if he dies, I get to put some 1/1 counters all over the place. Next, you have Ashi, Soul of the Wild. This is another one of those ones that get really big. I also like him because he turns all of my creatures into mana dorks. So, it's pretty nice, you know. Or, I don't know, I don't think you can tap him for mana, I don't remember. But anyways, it doesn't matter in the sense he gets everything bigger. So Yeah. All right, I got Nylia, God of the Hunt. As you can see, this is the Secret Lair one. It's beautiful. She is a 6/6 indestructible. It's all green, so she usually activates her devotion, activates very quickly. Plus, she gives trample to everyone, including our good buddy Omnuth. So, plus she can make things bigger. So she's a very awesome, awesome, awesome card, and I draw a card from her, so she's staying. All right, here's another one of my ways to make trample. Very few people have ever seen this card. Well, not very few, but like a lot of players are like, "Whoa, what's that?" When I play it, as Baru, Fist of Krosa. What makes him awesome is when he force comes into play, I get to put 1/1 on all my creatures, and they all gain trample. Omnuth, space, smash face. All right, next, this is one of my favorite ones to tutor up for. This is Kovori, God of Kinship. As long as there are 3 or more legendary creatures, she gets +4/+2 and has vigilance. So you're talking about turning her into a 6/6 with vigilance for 4 mana. And as you've seen in this deck, having 3 or more legendary creatures is, and I mean, she's one of them, not a problem. So I pay 4 mana, I draw a card, I get a 2/4 who becomes a 6/6 with vigilance pretty quickly. But the key thing is her bottom ability. For 1 green, 1 colorless, I gotta look at the top 6 cards of my library, can reveal a legendary creature, and put it in my hand, and put the rest in the bottom in any order. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but I have a lot of legendary creatures. I have never flipped 6 cards and not found a legendary creature with her. She is basically card draw. 2 mana, draw a card, but of my choosing out of the top 6. All right. Next, you have Kamal, Heart of Krosa, one of the most expensive legendary creatures in this deck, but he is worth every penny. For 8 mana, I get a 5/5, and what he does is at the beginning of combat, all of my creatures get +3/+3 and trample. Plus, for 1 green, 1 colorless, I can turn a land into a 1/1 elemental creature with vigilance, indestructible, haste, and it's still a land until end of turn. Yeah, you remember though, so you turn a land into it, then he gets +3/+3 and trample. So you have a 4/4 elemental land creature with vigilance, indestructible, and haste. He's just stupid. Okay, there's no other way to describe it. This creature is stupid. Awesome stupid, but stupid. Like, he's never leaving this deck, ever. Next, you have Savala, Heart of the Wilds. This is one of those ones, whenever another creature enters battle, its controller enters draws card if its power is greater than each other creature's power. Once I get Omnuth out, that ability is pretty much gone. But what makes her awesome is I pay 1 green to add X mana colors where X is the greatest power creatures I control. Now, you see what's going to happen, right? I'll have Omnuth out with like 5 or 6 counters on him. I tap her for one of those counters. Let's say I had 6, and I have 5. She adds 5 mana into the mana pool. Omnuth is now +10/+10. Next turn, pay 1. It just gets insane. I've had Omnuth out with her out and got Omnuth well into the hundreds very quickly. So it gets pretty dumb with her. She also lets me draw a card, and she's not going anywhere. She'll be in this deck for a long time. Next, you have Toski, Bearer of Secrets. Sometimes it's just really nice to have an indestructible creature. Plus, whenever a creature I control deals combat damage to a player, I draw a card. You can see the card draw is... I even have card draw outside of Reki. Not a lot, but I have some. This card is just great because he's indestructible. So, when a board wipe happens, I'm able to recover. If a board wipe happens, I'm going to recover really quickly because you lost all your creatures, and now I'm able to smack you in the head with my little 1/1 indestructible squirrel and draw a card. So I'll be drawing really quickly. Only a fool would board wipe with Toski out. Next, we have Thrun, the Last Troll. He's one of those ones that he's like an okay card. For 4 mana, you get a 4/4 that can regenerate himself, and he can't be countered. And he can't be the target of the spell that basically is hexproof. I have him in here. He's one of those guys that I could replace if something really awesome, which will happen eventually. They'll make a legendary creature that will replace him. But he's okay, plus you draw a card. And lastly, you have Araski. So this is one of my other ways to deal with it. He's so small. Unlike another way I make tokens. He's a 4 mana for a 3/5 with reach. Plus, whenever an opponent casts instant sorcery, I get to create another spider with reach. So he probably won't be going anywhere because he helps me deal with flying creatures. Even if it's just chump blocking spiders, it's still cool. So there you guys go. There is my Reki History of Kamigawa deck. This deck is so much fun. If you like drawing cards and you like smashing face and you like Planeswalkers, this is the commander for you. You will have so much fun with this guy. Every time I play it, people don't really know, they don't really think anything of it until I have a massive horde of trampling legendary creatures with all sorts of crazy abilities in play, a horde of Planeswalkers backing them up, and then they go board wipe and I heroic intervention, all that stuff. So it gets insane. This is a great deck. I would highly recommend each and every one of you build a Reki deck. You will have fun. So this concludes my video. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below, share if you can. Peace out.